Guys, welcome back to another episode of the HawksZone Rundown, where we continue on breaking down fits for the Hawks in this 2025 NFL draft. We gave you guys the trenches last week, or last episode. We did a little inside, outside, with the offense being the interior and the defense on the edges. Now we're flipping it. We're giving you guys the tackle position for the offense and the interior D lineman that we're going to give you guys 5 on each with some honorable mentions. Break it all down for you guys. Fits for the Hawks. Remember that, guys. These are prospects that fit schemes. But you know what? If you're just a good football player, sometimes schemes out the window and could be on the list as well. So we're going to break that all down for you guys on the other side. Guys, again, if you're watching the channel, you haven't done it yet, you haven't subbed, come join the family. Hit the sub button and like the videos, share the videos. You can also buy us a coffee as well. It's a good way to donate to the channel. And one more mention too, guys, we do have a subscription thing going on as well. So come join the HawksZone family and get involved with that. There's some cool perks. All that will be in the description with the membership program. So on the other side, breaking it down for you guys, the trenches. Here we go.
So y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to.
Don't you ever talk about
Man, let's go. It's go time, baby.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You ready to go get it. You just like to do it.
That's what it is.
Defense trying to do that. Pass is caught back in. Can't chase it. What a catch! Jackson Smith and Are you kidding me? Baldwin. Oh my goodness, he caught it.
This is the HawksZone Rundown with your hosts, Ryan and Bryce.
Welcome back to the HawksZone. We're going to get right into it right now. Positional breakdown, top 5 offensive tackles. This is one of those things, guys. We talked about the interior, and I know fans have screaming about the interior. Like, we have to figure this out right now in the draft, and we broke it all down for you guys. And now we're talking tackle, and you look at it, and we have Charles Cross and Abe Lucas. Both guys came in the same year. Both guys seeking extensions at some point. So, you have your bookends right now, but it's one of those positions. Do you need to, secure the future in case? And, we all know about Abe Lucas and his injury history. Can he give you a full year? So and that's yet to be known. So we're coming into this draft in a couple of weeks here. And so is that something that Seattle, wants to address? And if they are, man, we're going to give you 5 guys to look out for. So, Bryce, why don't we kick it off here with number 1?
So, number 1, Armand Membu out of Missouri. So, for me, Armand is the perfect offensive tackle fit for Seattle. And I think realistic potentially was more realistic earlier in the draft process than it is now. He also can go into guard. I think he could slide in and be a guard as well. So he kind of fits that dual varsity role. But as a tackle, he's perfectly suited for the wide zone scheme. Quick feet, lateral agility. He excels on outside zone plays. He can hit the second level with ease. Again, he's had tackle experience at both spots, left and right tackle. He's got really good pass protection. 2 sacks allowed over 2 seasons, so he's a very polished product. He's, again, plug and play. He will start on your O-line from the beginning. He could come in, be your hedge, potentially play guard, be your hedge against Abe Lucas. If you don't re-sign Abe Lucas, he could be your hedge for it. And so, yeah, I think he's definitely someone that's going to boost the run game immediately and the offensive line as a whole. That's why he's number 1 for me. Again, I don't know if he's a realistic at 18 unless something happens. But if Seattle were to trade up or somehow he was to fall because some other teams fall in love with other prospects, maybe a Will Campbell here or there, someone else, maybe Membu falls. And I think if he does, Seattle is running to the podium at 18 to give the ticket in for Armand Membu.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we talked about last episode with the interior, how, you want some of those guys with that mean streak and that nastiness. And here's a guy, nasty finisher, he looks to bury defenders, once he's locked in. So, bring some serious pop right on initial contact. So, here's a guy that, not only he's a plug and play guy, all the talent in the world, he just has that mentality as well. So, a guy, I agree, if he's there, which I don't think he is. And, I mean, Could they make a move up? Maybe, but if he is there, yeah, I think he's definitely a potential guy that you're running up to the podium for. So yeah, man, just an awesome player. Yeah, moving on too, but yeah, I mean, we could go on and talk about it, but yeah, he's definitely a ball player that you'd love to see here. So yeah, moving on to our second guy here.
So number 2 on this list for me in fit and scheme is Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. Now, again, he's 6'4", 350 or 305, sorry. He's a fluid, lean mover, right? Like he has 2 years of starting experience at left tackle. His agility, ability to pull on, blocks and makes, again, he's a good guy in space. And that's the key thing with Kubiak's scheme is you need to be able to operate in space as an offensive lineman on the perimeter runs. Pass protection is improving, and that's something that I've seen over the last 2 years of his tape. It has gotten better. It's still by no means a finished product of where he should be. He needs more power to anchor against NFL edges like he does. A second round grade's kind of where I see him. I don't think he's going to be in a first round. So yeah, he'll thrive in the zone heavy scheme, to be honest with you, man. So I think, again, he could be a guy you bring in. He has no tackle or no guard inside versatility. He is a pure tackle. It's just what side do you see him on? And is this a pick because you do not trust an Abe Lucas to be here long term?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that he's a fit where you look at it and like, maybe you get a guy like this would be more of a realistic player opposed to Membu because of the fact that, here's an insurance policy for a long-term Abe Lucas situation. And that would make more sense. And you can get him later on. Like maybe the tackle spot isn't a priority off the hop. And but at least you're looking at it and you're going to definitely cover it at some point in the draft. So yeah, because I think it's an interesting spot because we talked about Abe and his contract extension, and you're thinking he's kind of on a prove it health year. Like he has to show you that he can't go down. And even if it's a bad luck injury, it just could be one too many for the Seahawks. So I think that you're in a spot now where you have to wait a whole season still to see if Abe's healthy. Do you kind of be proactive and address it now? So yeah.
No, exactly. And that's the thing you got to think of. Do you address it now or do you wait and, hope Abe Lucas plays back to what his rookie is? And that's what I'm hoping. I hope Abe Lucas is solid this year.
Of course.
But do you hedge against it in some capacity in this year's draft? I think John Schneider and the Seahawks probably will. So
yeah, I agree.
Number 3 on this list is a name I don't think a lot of people are going to be familiar with. And that is Bryce Calebdew out of Kansas. 6'5", 310. He's a sleeper guy. He's, probably going to be more of a mid-round guy, 4th round kind of guy. He's got notable athleticism. He's got a really high football IQ, though. He is a smart football player, something his coaches have talked about. He was a 2-year starter at right tackle, and he really does shine on reach blocks and sealing the edge. Big components of Kubiak's scheme as a tackle. His pass protection definitely needs refinement, though. He gave 5 sacks in 2024 alone, and he'll require to add some strength. Again, he still needs a little bit more weight to him, I think, to help anchor. So, I think he could be a guy in the 4th round. Seattle could target maybe. He'll be a project, again, a guy you put behind Abe Lucas and go, hey, if he doesn't, we build this guy up for a year and then we can insert him potentially in 2026 if we don't like Abe Lucas and sign them.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to just having more depth there and just hedging against Abe and his health and stuff like that. Like we saw guys, I mean, last year it came down to inserting Jarrell at some point getting playing time because, not only did you have an insurance policy in Fant, he went down within minutes and then you went down to a Jarrell, which, you look at it and be like, okay, there's a guy that they brought in late in the draft and as a project, but also got NFL experience. So I think if you're in that situation, again, you have another guy, you can get him late. And you just can't have enough of these guys. So I think that'd be a guy to look out for late in the draft. So moving on to 4.
Number 4 out of this group for me is Charles Grant out of William and Mary. And so when I look at Charles Grant, I see a small school standout guy. Like William Mary, not a big school, but he did do really well at the FCS level. Again, this is a guy you're looking at the late day 3 kind of area, swing tackle potential. He is suited for the zone blocking scheme. He's raw technically and untested against elite competition. And that's the one thing for me where, again, this is a guy you're taking in the 6th round. You're taking him as a developmental guy. Maybe he's an upgrade over a Mike Jarrell because he, again, has played at a higher level than even Jarrell played at last year. He's going to be a developmental swing tackle type who could grow into a role. And again, he's got the skill and the movement to play in Kubiak's scheme of the wide zone. He's just not going to be a starting type guy.
Yeah, exactly. So, another depth guy, and you kind of brought up Terrell, and that's another guy. It's like, okay, what's his place on this team moving forward, because he was a late round small school guy. It just depends. So, kind of another guy that kind of falls within that, in line there. So what do you got at number 5?
Number 5 for me is someone that we've had Rob Staten talk about. I've really dove into. Is Chase Lund out of UConn. So he is a towering tackle. He's 6'7", 300. Again, this is versatility. I think he could move into a guard if you needed him to it on the right side. He's got, again, he started at left tackle in 2024, earning an 885 PFF grade. Take that with a grain of salt. PFF's all over the place. His strength is in run blocking, and UConn, again, is a zoned influence scheme. That's what we've heard about this offseason and why Christian Haynes is so happy that Clint Kubiak's come in, is this is something he excelled in. And so his length and lateral quickness help him in executing the outside zone plays for sure. He is so good getting to the second level. When you watch his tape, he gets there and gets his hand on a linebacker, and it's over for that linebacker. His pass protection, again, with a lot of these guys you'll see from Bryce down to Grant, down to, Lund here, pass protection still a work in progress. 4 sacks allowed in 2024. It's due to more of his inconsistent footwork and hand placement. Sometimes he misses on his initial placement of his hands, and he gets kind of beat around. His frame and movement skills offer the development upside for Kubiak's system. So again, I think you're going to be able to get Lund anywhere between rounds 4 and round 6. He's a guy I think that you could definitely, again, same as Charles Grant, same as, Caleb do, bring them in and, don't rush them into playing. They can be that swing tackle. They compete with Mike Jarrell. And maybe if Abe Lucas struggles, these guys develop enough with enough upside that they take over that right guard or right tackle spot. So that's where I am with the tackles.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, in your opinion, where do you realistically see them going? I mean, as far as, position of need, like, you think this is kind of where we talking about some of these guys like your Chase Lund, stuff like that, like this is where you might see them go, and if anything, maybe even wait till next year. But if we were to say, okay, priorities,
I think with the O tackle class here, I would say there's a higher chance of like a Caleb Dew, a Grant, and a Lund being picked by Seattle because they have more pressing needs, I think, in the earlier rounds, especially in those top 100 picks that they do have. On the one I will say is Membu. If he falls to 18, in my opinion, he trumps Gray Zabel. And we already talked about him on a previous episode of this, being our number 1 interior O-line fit. Membu gives you the upgrade at guard as well as the potential versatility to go and replace Abe Lucas with a starting caliber guy right away if you see fit. So Membu is the only caveat here. Josh Connerly, it's if Seattle views tackle as more of a need than we do, they take him. But I really think Caleb Dew, Grant, and Lund are guys that I think are realistic options for Seattle, especially in those mid to later rounds.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, Membu, just because of the fact that that's such an awesome versatility to have with Abe Lucas's situation. So it's like, Abe goes down, boom, plug him in. But you slide him over to guard, and that could get nasty as well. So, yeah, man. And any honorable mentions we got here?
Yeah, so my honorable mention here is a 7th round kind of UDFA guy, Donovan Jennings out of South Florida. So 6'5", 325. He's played both tackle and guard spots. You know, he's got a pretty good PFF grade from last year of 87.5. He's, you know, not small either, so that's a good thing. He fits the wide zone scheme. He's a mauler in the run game, but again, struggles in pass protection, and especially against speed rushers. He had 5 sacks allowed in 2024. I'd project him as a late round on UDFA type guy. Like, you're taking him in the 7th round because you don't see anything else on the board that you like. I think if, like, for example, if Seattle were to miss on like a Lund or somebody, or Caleb or Grant in those 4 to 6, and they come back around, Donovan Jennings is a guy you take in the 7th round to potentially use as that swing tackle development. So that's my honorable mention in this group.
Nice, man. Yeah. I think, like you said, Membu's the outlier, but I think, you know, this is where we're going to see them take a tackle if they do it all. So awesome 5 plus your honorable. I guess we're switching over to
we're switching over here to our other group, which is the interior, like you said, D-line, which is a group I think that I could see Seattle actually targeting here. So my number one guy for the interior D-line, I think it's been well documented in the mocks. I really like Kenneth Grant. You know, I think he comes in, he is massive. He's 6'3", 339. He has a lot of twitch, though, for an interior D-line with rare athleticism for his size. He is a prime fit in McDonald's scheme. He comes in and maybe plays more of that 1 tech and 0 tech role than Byron Murphy did. And he frees up Byron Murphy like him. And Byron Murphy in the middle of his defense is going to wreak havoc if it were to happen. In 2024, he recorded 32 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 pass batted, 7 tackles for loss. He earned an 88 PFF grade. So again, he's more like a Justin Matabikwe, and that's how I think he'd be played in McDonald's scheme. His ability to bend and explode off the line, though, is what really makes him disruptive. Like, he is so quick and quick twitching off that line. And again, with his size being 6'3" and 339, like, he's a bigger guy too. And you know, the thing too with his size, he is stout as a 1 tech. When you watched him play 1 tech at Michigan, he just ate the hole. Like, the hole was gone. He's not very polished as a pass rusher yet, right? His win rate in 2024 was about 9.5%. 9.5% win rate, which isn't great, but his upside is there to develop into that role. So again, I think at 18, he is a very realistic option for Seattle. And I think there's a good chance Seattle could take him if he falls there, and they could address O-line at another point.
Yeah, and he's just like, the guy's just an athletic freak, right? Like you mentioned, huge guy, 6'4", 360-ish, and runs a sub 540, right? And that's incredible. I think Jim Harbaugh came out and said this guy just has like incredible traits, and kind of, putting him as like that number 1 freak, down in the line, if that applies, right? So just you're getting just a really, really freakish athlete to play in the middle. Like you said, if that happens with Byron, like, just, it could be a lot of fun to watch, right? A lot of fun. So yeah, that would be an interesting pick, man. That's the thing. We're breaking down all these guys. And when we start these shows, each position, we kind of give you like all these number 1 and a lot of times number 2 guys on the list are plug and plays, right? And guys that can really impact your team right away. So just options for Seattle, right? Like we talked about the edge. Now we're talking about the interior, and a point where you can keep building on the strength of this defensive line. So that also gets you intrigued, and it's got to get the Seahawks room intrigued to be like, hey, let's just keep adding to this strength that we have, right? So, and I'm sure Mike McDonald would love something like that too. So there you go. Kenneth Grant, number 1, moving on to 2.
Number 2 for me is Tyleik Williams out of Ohio State. 6'3", 330, so he's around the same size as Kenneth Grant. He's a powerful and quick interior D-line. The thing for me, though, and why he's a fit is he's, I think, maybe more of a second round guy. He's going to be late first. Someone might take him. He could be more of the early second round. He adds depth behind Leo for one and Murphy. You could basically deploy him early as a rotational piece in this offense, grooming him to be a starter in 2026 or defense, I should say, in 2026. But like the things about him is his run defense is really good. He is so good at clogging lanes and collapsing the pocket. And that's what you need. And that's the one thing I think Seattle, to a point last year, missed a little bit is they didn't have that, but outside Leo, Byron Murphy didn't collapse the pocket like we thought he was going to. He probably will this year, but it wasn't there right away. And so, those are things I think that Seattle's still going to be looking for, is to add another guy that you can put in there. So it's not all on Byron. You're not, putting it a lot on Jaron Reed. You're able to add a guy into the mix in there that's going to be able to create more havoc in the middle of that interior defensive line.
Yeah, and they talk about his his versatility too, right? That he can really align anywhere from a 0 technique to a 5, and just like a a chess piece, another sort of chess piece for Mike McDonald, right? So yeah, interesting player, and big dude as well. So I think that'd be an interesting pickup for the Hawks.
Yeah, it definitely would be, and that's why I'm very interested to see what Seattle does and how they, value this interior D line, because the two guys we talked about in Grant and Williams, both the guys you're not going to be able to sit back and wait and take at a pick 92. You're going to have to take them at pick, 50 or pick 18, or if you trade back and get a later first round pick in another, fourth round, then you're taking them there. They're not guys you're going to be able to wait on and hope that they're there in round 3 or round 4. Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this draft is just how we've loaded up on these picks in the top 100 that it's gonna be interesting to see, like, do we start moving some our own chess pieces around the draft? Like, do we start trading up? Do we accumulate a few more picks? And it just depends what they really want to do and who they think will still be there if they really kind of target a guy, right? So beyond 18, it still gets really interesting. So yeah, it's honestly kind of one of the more intriguing drafts for me, I think, this season, because one, it's Mike and John's kind of first real full season together, kind of picking it apart, and then just to see the improvement of this defense finally is in the second half of last year, that you're saying, okay, we know we have problems interior, like very, very big problems, but also we have something that we've recognized as a strength on this team. Do we keep adding to this strength? So there's just so many things to look out for. It's really going to be hard to call it. And but again, just guys to look out for, and guys to say, hey, go Google that name, and you'll see how he can kind of fit in this system here. So moving on to 3.
So 3 for me, again, is a guy Rob Staten brought up on our show. And that's Ty Robinson out of Nebraska. Ty Robinson, to me, 6'6", 310. He is a high motor guy. And he's a guy you're going to be able, I think, get at the third round, maybe around pick 92 for us. Again, versatility. He can move up and down. And that's the thing. These guys that play in the interior Mike McDonald's scheme, he wants them to be versatile. He wants them to be able to, move up and down that line of scrimmage, be able to be dispersed from anywhere. And that's something that, Ty Robinson kind of has. He also screams Baltimore. Like the Baltimore Ravens, if he doesn't go to Seattle, I could see him landing in Baltimore. He just fits that persona. Last season, he notched 37 tackles, 7 sacks, 10 TFLs. He was second in the Big Ten in interior D-line for PFF grade at a 90.5. His length, so he's got 34+ inch arms, and he has explosive power. Like he can drive you back off the ball. And so that's kind of going to make him a nightmare as a 3 or 5 tech. And that's something I think you look at, his tenacity shines in run defense. Like he is a good run defender. He just has raw strength. That's the one thing that's kind of impressive about him, is just his strength. He's not going to be your super twitchy dude. He's just going to be a guy that's going to run a high motor. He's going to push people around. He's going to try and be a bully on that line. So that's where I look at him. He really relies on the bull rush. And so that's where I look at you disperse him more on your early downs and then develop his pass sets through the next couple of seasons to get him to be more of a pass rushing guy in maybe year 2 or year 3 than you would expect him to be an impact guy in year 1 for you. So that's why Ty Robinson's number 3 for me, and a guy I think you can get in that, round 3 range.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's a guy that, high motor player as well. Right. So, which Mike loves. So yeah, it'd be an interesting pick for the Hawks. Moving on to 4.
So 4 for me is TJ Sanders out of South Carolina.
Right.
So a little bit smaller. He's 6'4", 290. He's a twitched up 3-tech is what he kind of comes in and screams across on his tape. He's got a really good knack for penetrating. So in 2024, just some stats, recorded 42 tackles, 4 sacks, 9 TFLs. He got an 86.5 PFF grade. His quickness off the snap, though, is what really stands out, and especially his long arms. Like, he's got 33-plus inch arms. So his speed in that allows him to shoot gaps and be really disruptive in plays. His pass rush win rate was 14%, which is pretty good for an interior D lineman. Sanders lacks, though, elite mass, and that's his biggest thing is he can get bullied against double teams, like especially being in the interior there, center and guard tandem. He's going to get moved out because he just doesn't have the anchor at 290. So again, he's a guy I think you bring in as an interior pass rusher more than you do bring him in as a all-down D tackle in the system. And so that's where I think you could mold him into what, McDonald's used in the past, but again, he's going to need to put on some weight. I think TJ Sanders, to be successful, would have to be probably around 300. So he at least has more of an anchor to handle those double teams at the NFL level.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, talking about another guy, like a late round guy, and something that, where do you think this is a position of need for the Hawks right now? You think it's sort of middle of the row kind of thing for this interior? You think edge is more of a sneaky need than the interior here for Seattle?
That's an interesting question. I'm of the belief that I think they're both needs. I think they're both going to be addressed in the top 100 for Seattle one way or another. What it's going to really speak to for Seattle when it comes to O or D line addressing is what do they view is going to be an area that is going to require more immediate need going forward in the sense of longevity. Like, we've got a lot of young O linemen in. When you look at our D line, Leonard Williams is over 30. DeMarcus Lawrence is over 30. Chenna's getting up there in age. He's also got injury issues. You've got Boy Mafe, who we talked about on our last show with, his contract. Like, there's a lot of stuff going into that front 7 where it's, okay, how is this going to look in 2 or 3 years? Where when you look at Seattle's O-line, you brought in this new staff. You've got guys that you took 3 linemen, 4 linemen last year. You're probably going to take a couple this year. You may have a 5 to 6 young offensive linemen that are under contract for the next 4 years where this D-line doesn't. And that's where I think the D-line could be more of something that's more of a need sneakily, especially on the interior, than people realize, because Jaron Reed's not getting any younger. Byron Murphy needs a running mate, or teams are going to continue to just double team him. So that's why I think, interior D-line, I think trumps edge a little bit, unless one of those blue chip edge guys just falls to Seattle.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Especially you brought up Leonard and DeMarcus and Chenna. You look across the board, but I think you get some younger guys on that edge with Mafe and Hall, and I mean Byron's young too. But like you said, I think it just depends. But I think you're right overall. I think you got to bring in some youth, so I think it's going to be addressed. I could see both positions being addressed, but yeah, fair point. So moving on to our last guy here in the group.
So our last guy in the group is someone I really like, and that's Darius Alexander out of Toledo.
Yeah.
6'3", 300. Again, he had 5 sacks, 11 TFLs, 36 tackles. He, I think, is going to go round 2, potentially round 3. His quick first step and relentless motor. Again, he is a guy that will shoot gaps. He's a 3-tech. He had a 13.5% pass rush win rate. So that goes up there with the higher guys that we're talking about. His run defense is good. He can hold his own to fight despite facing lesser competition. So that'll be something. He uses leverage and effort to disrupt plays. That's how he's disruptive, is he understands how to use his leverage. However, he does lack ideal size and refinement, but his athleticism kind of is what makes up for it. So it's, he could thrive with NFL coaching and really excel. And that's the one thing where I look at him and I go, okay, with Alexander, like, you're taking him because you missed out on Kenneth Grant and Tyleik Williams. That's who you're taking. You might look at him and say, hey, he's got more athletic upside than Ty Robinson. That's where we're going to take him, is above that. So that's why I've got him number 5 in this, set of guys.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. I mean, there you go. So another kind of round of guys that you got some depth pieces, you got some upside guys, and you get some plug and play guys on both sides of the football here that we mentioned. There's a couple of guys that's like, man, if they're there at 18, you run up the podium. But you know what, guys? There's so many more positions that we're going to be touching on here coming up in the next episodes. And, intriguing that, a couple, or even maybe 6 weeks ago, you wouldn't even think it was a position in need, and so now that there's another position group in need, it just makes things that much more interesting. So we gave you guys the trenches. This was another episode of the trenches. And so then we're going to get into some more skill positions. You got one thing to say there?
I got one thing. I got one honorable mention in this.
Right, honorable.
So Howard Cross out of Notre Dame is one guy I've got for an honorable mention. So 6'1", 286, he is undersized, and that's one of the biggest things that goes against him. But he does scream McDonald's system in a way. He's a pure 3-tech. He wins with quickness. He had a 15% pass rush win rate as an interior D lineman. But his run grade is where he struggled. So he only had a 77 for run defense. And that, to me, kind of screams his ability not to take on the double teams. He struggled with that. He's, only 286 pounds and 6'1". But as a rotational interior pass rushing guy, Howard Cross can make some, noise, but he's a guy you could get in round 5 or round 6 and have some upside value for yourself.
I like it, man. Good honorable mention right there. So there you have it, guys. There's your guys. There's your 5 and 5 and some honorable mentions. Drop in the comments what you guys think of our choices and our the group of guys that we think that could be fits for Seattle. And yeah, let us know, because like we said, there's a lot of good opinions out there. We want to hear from you guys. See what you guys think, what they should do. Do you guys think it's a position of need? Because there's some that, like I said in the last episode, just think, hey man, the first few picks better be interior, or I'll break something. So, but you know what, when you look at it overall as a whole, there's kind of needs everywhere. And so, if Seattle likes a certain guy, they might go up there and call that name. So guys, let us know what you think. Drop us in the comments. Other than that, guys, if you haven't done it yet, go down, hit the sub button, hit the like button, share the videos, and all that's appreciated. And like I said, we're part of fieldgoals.com now. So go over to Field Goals and find our podcast, as well as a bunch of other great content. They got some great writers over there. They're doing some awesome stuff. So yeah, if you haven't went over there yet, go over there as well. And Bryce, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Honestly, man, I'm really enjoying these breakdowns. We did interior O-line and edges. Now we've taken side of the other side of the trenches. Now we get to go into, safeties and corners and receivers and tight ends and running backs and quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And what's going to be fun is when we're done this whole process, we're going to do a mock draft just before the NFL draft with these guys in mind. And we will take guys that we have had on this list at some point in our mock draft and see how it all fits and how it looks for the Seahawks overall. So make sure, again, guys, get your comments in. Let us know how you feel about some of these guys that we've picked, and your thoughts on some guys that maybe we missed and we didn't talk about that you think are fits for the Seahawks. The more you guys engage with us, the more it makes us do our research on the back end here before we do these shows, and we love doing it. So be active in those comments. And looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, guys, look over to the next one. And but that's it for us today. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
So y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to.
Don't you ever talk about
Man, let's go. It's go time, baby.
I'm just about that action, boss. You ready to go get it. You just like to do it.
That's what it is.